Good morning and a warm welcome, and thank you for keeping it right here on Sunrise at Sea. It's exactly 45 minutes past the hour of 8. My name is Siobhan, and you are just in time for our views. And today we are discussing clingy people. Yes. Do you consider yourself a clingy person? Do you have a clingy friend? How have you dealt with them? And joining me at the center of this discussion are none other than the beautiful ladies. And to my far left, I have Agi Uwase as well as Priva Elibas. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Are we well?
Yes. Oh yes, except the weather, as usual.
As usual, like throughout the weekend up to now. Well, super close friendships are one thing, and we all like and want to have super close friendships. But feeling like someone is all up in your grill or all up in your business is like on another level. Now, you may want to say that having a clingy friend is better than having a toxic friend, but I would say they are more or less of the same coin. So ladies, what does clingy mean first of all? Well, clingy is having the quality of clinging to someone or something, such as tending to stay very close to someone, such as a parent, for emotional support and protection. Well, a clingy friend is someone who just doesn't respect the boundaries of a natural friendship. They do not understand that both friends need to willingly show interest in spending time together or investing in a relationship. Now, when a friendship is starting, at first, coming from the other party, it may seem like the other friend is overly excited to, get to understand who Priva is, who is Agi. They're invested in your time and in your life. And then it's a beautiful thing. Then after you get to realize it's actually a continuous thing. When you don't pick up their calls, they are quarreling. When you do not, respond to their messages, they are quarreling. And even when you try to explain it, they do not understand. And they continuously feel that because you are their friend, you have to put everything you're doing on hold for them, as though their world rotates or your world rotates around you. So I would like to say, what is your aspect, or what do you have to say about clingy friends? And is it something that you have experienced? Or were you a clingy friend at some point?
Let me see. I'm not a clingy friend. That one I am not, and I hope I never become one, because sometimes people need their space. I'll tell you. Sometimes people are going through things, and they need that alone time, and you don't want to be all up in someone's space all the time. Some go the far extent of saying, you know what, I need some time off. But because you're the kind of person who is very clingy, who is very attached, if I call it that, you don't understand why someone would say they need space. And we always talk about relationships, we always talk about friendships, we always talk about family. Each one of us, even when you are in a relationship, there's that time when you want to be by yourself, to think things through without having an opinion from someone else. Priva usually calls it unsolicited opinion. But yeah, so me, I respect people's time, alone time. I'm also that kind of person, and I always ask for it. If I ask for it and you cannot give it to me, I'll definitely give it to myself, and it won't matter how you will look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Free. Unless you're a child who is
Oh dear.
who is under what? Under like
Unless
5, under
you're
like
Kai.
4. So okay, yeah, as young as Kai. If you're not as young as Kai, I don't expect you to be clingy. I'm not a clingy friend. I also understand that people, do go through their own things. At first, I think in my younger days, I used to, think the idea of, good friendships and, having strong bonds with people is spending time with them all the time and knowing what they're doing, like keeping up to speed with them. But, as you grow up, you realize like people have struggles of life that they have to deal with, and you cannot be priority all the time. So sometimes, honestly, personally, when I want to stay away from people, or when I just want to shut down or anything like that, I just disappear. And yes, I know some of my friends really like show interest. They give me the calls. They'll be like, what's happening? They'll come and see me at my house. I respect that. I understand that. But sometimes I just need time to breathe. Just like time alone. Even from your child, by the way, sometimes you
time
need
away from motherhood.
yes, the jobs I mentioned it. Sometimes parenting is like a 24/7, type of job. But then also you need to, take some time off and, cool down and relax. So I don't like being clingy. I'm not a clingy friend. I don't think I'll ever be a clingy friend now that I have the knowledge and understanding that life can be tough.
Absolutely. While talking about clingy friends, very many people want to confuse the two. And I usually tell people, just because I say my love language is quality time, it doesn't mean that I want a clingy person. Quality time is healthy time, you know. The other party wants to be with me and I want to be with them. Not a me, a need. It's sort of a need. But also very many times we're very harsh when it comes to clingy friends because we forget that sometimes it's actually not their fault. It's either something of a traumatic experience that they went through. For some children who did not receive love from their parents. For some children who did not receive appreciation from, you know, the people they thought that should be appreciating them. When they did not receive that kind of thing, they tend to be clingy onto the people they feel they love because then they do not want to be abandoned. You see, then it brings me back to abandonment issues. But away from that, let's look at some of the signs of clingy people. Priva.
You first.
Let's start with you.
The signs of clingy people, the signs of clingy people, I feel like they are never comfortable being in their own space. Like solitude scares them, if I should put it that way. Being able to spend time, you know, by yourself and think about you and do what makes you happy, I think it scares them. So as a result, they need people around them to make them feel like, you know, they matter and you know what they're saying is important. And basically, I think it's sort of like a validation aspect that they're always looking for in these friendships. So the signs are that you're never alone. You want to be around people. Yes, you want to fill that void that you got from, you know, when you were younger. I know you mentioned that we should, you know, cut them some slack because maybe they grew up in
not some slack, really, but
understand them. Okay, but you see also how it can be wrong because while you are battling with your childhood trauma and, you know, things you picked up in your childhood, you're throwing them on another different person. Yes, they're not a therapist. They may not even be able to take on that emotional, how would I call it?
Support.
Emotional support, but emotional baggage that you're bringing onto them. Also, sometimes people just want time, like, to themselves. Like, it's okay, let me see you 2 hours a day, but give me the 22 hours. You know, like,
Absolutely. One thing that I wanted to say is, because Siobhan said they differ. People who are clingy, and then people whose love language is quality time. But it's just a thin line, I will say, between being a quality time kind of person and a clingy person. Absolutely. Because when you look at some of the signs like Priva mentioned, and also when you talk about some of these people usually want constant texts all throughout the day. Call me every minute.
Sure, yes.
If there is no call, no text, then they start panicking. Mostly these people love quality time. Then they're stalking their partners on social media because what are you doing? Who are you talking to? Where are you going? That kind of thing. I don't know how people do it, but I think it's very irritating.
Exactly, very irritating. But in the aspect of quality time,
come out needy.
Come out needy. And that is what Aggie was talking about when we talk about the thin line. When it comes to quality time, it has to be on a balanced level. It can't be a me thing, a you thing. It's an us thing. We have agreed. Do we want? Is he comfortable with calls? But also in relation to what you said, when it comes to emotional baggage and also a clingy friend, it's important that it depends on the kind of friend. Now, if you have a deep connection with your friend, you'll probably tell her that maybe as a child I was abandoned by my father, and she would understand. But again, depending on how close you are to your friend, there's certain things you might not want to, you know, spill out there. But looking at some of the signs of a clingy friend very briefly, well, it feels like your friends are always finding excuses not to hang out with you. So these are signs if you want to know if you are a clingy friend. So if you feel like your friends are keep saying only clingy, the next is your friends seem uneasy around you and you are not sure why. When you feel the need to make plans to see your friends every day, you can't sit at home. The bagis who say the dog licked under your foot. That thing always kills me. The next is you tell people that they are your best friend a lot, like you keep reassuring them, oh my god, we're best friends, we're BFFs, you know, we hang out at the same places, and it gets crazy. Well, the fifth is that you are confused and upset when your friends don't pick up the phone every single time you call. You are constantly reassuring yourself and others that you are a good friend, and you have a hard time letting your friends leave when you're hanging out. Boss, it's 3 a.m. What are you still doing out taking cocktails?
That one I support also.
Yeah.
Your party starts at 1 a.m. so until it's 7 a.m.
1 a.m.
Joking. You have no sense of yourself outside of who you are without your friends. You find yourself getting unreasonably mad at your friends for neglecting you and picking fights with them over the smallest of things. So ladies, finally, as we wrap up in about 1 minute each, how can we stop being clingy, or how would you advise a clinger to stop clinging?
Tying on the clingy.
Anyway, for me, I will say that people need to work on their traumas and to work on themselves. It starts with you. The moment you realize the reason why you're clingy, just like you mentioned, let's say you have abandonment issues, you have issues with mom issues, you have issues with self. Attachments on other people. Do not be depending or on people
all the time. Well, I think for me, I would have to say, now that you figured out that your friends are really tired of hanging out with you because you want to, be with them all the time, 24/7, it's about time that you replace those friends who don't want to hang out with you with some hobbies. Yes, like rediscover yourself. Find out what ticks you, what gives you that adrenaline, what makes you happy. Is it sports? Is it writing? Is it going hanging out by yourself? It's okay. You can go to a place, get your cocktail and drink by yourself. Yes, you can go to church. You can play some sports. You can develop passions here and there. So rediscover yourself. Find out what makes you happy and focus on that. Other than focusing on getting the validation from your friends and expecting them to factor you in their schedules every day. Like, life is already hard, so you may want to put yourself first and focus on yourself, and you will stop being clingy.
Okay. So finally, as we wrap up, some of the information that I was reading up on may disagree with what the ladies have mentioned. Well,
really?
Among them is dealing with a clingy friend. Well, the first one, according to psychologists, they say do not ghost or avoid them. Well, if you're wondering how to ghost a clingy friend, or wondering if it's okay to ghost them, you should know that it seems like an easy thing to do when you have a clingy friend. If you hope to stop answering their texts or even start canceling plans, they'll figure it out, and this is something a friend shouldn't do. Instead, you should actually talk about them. The next, you should talk to you should have a conversation about it. The next is don't gossip about them. Like, don't be that she's so clingy. No. Walk up front and say, you know what, you need to give us a bit of space, politely, but also the other party, the clinger.
I think we're talking about the other party.
Yes, I understand. Yes, we're coming back to that. But also I'm saying, even for the clinger, be mature enough to listen when your friends are trying to be reasonable with you. And then finally, how to stop being clingy, figure out why you are clingy and work on addressing your unmet issues. And finally, the psychology of a clingy friend is that what makes someone clingy? Well, it can be a number of things. However, the chances are that probably you had a traumatic experience or many while growing up. Perhaps your parents were not very attentive and didn't give you the much love you desired. They might not have been able to count on them. However, this does not mean you dissatisfy and you become a toxic person to others. Well, that wraps up the conversation that we had for you this morning on the Twitter, on our views. I beg your pardon. Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Sunrise at Sea. Siobhan was, a little bit excited when she talked about the Twitter jabs and then our views, because we've had great conversations, I must say. So thank you so much for being a part of them. Tip for later, yes, next week on the 25th of October, it will be World Spina Bifida Day and Hydrocephalus, yes, and the gentleman and the lady who were here did expound literally on that conversation and then the engagement ahead of it and how you can honestly be a part of this in creating awareness about this condition that actually, and also something that I needed to mention is the fact that these children who are born with these defects are actually normal children. So put it at the back of your mind. Do not think in any way that they are abnormal. And we winded up the show with a conversation on clingy people, and then we're saying a clingy and a clinger. I loved something that Priva said, that replace with those people that you're always clinging onto with hobbies. Go out on your own, have that cocktail. You never know, you might meet the love of your life if you have been looking out for that. Anyway, have a good day. Catch you tomorrow. Same time, same place.